I recently built a new computer. However, due to the messed up graphics card market, I ended up keeping my old GTX 970 card. In a contrived attempt to put a positive spin on this, I thought I would investigate CPU's impact on the free version of Davinci Resolve. Let's see if I can show you how old this card is. Come on, focus, you piece of shit. Oops, it wasn't within closest focusing distance. That's on me. Well, here we are. It's from 2014. Hello, how are you? There are many different aspects that might be interesting to test, but I have limited the test to my normal usage. Even though some of the results I present here might be generally applicable, most of them only apply on similar systems. So keep that in mind. There will be a video where I repeat the same tests on Davinci Resolve Studio. If you're considering upgrading a system, or Davinci Resolve for that matter, I highly recommend that you watch that video as well. Also, I must inform you that this video contains quite a few charts and numbers, so unless you're really into Davinci Resolve or bar charts, you probably won't enjoy it. I'm not going to go through all the details of each computer. You see the specifications here. They are by no means equals when it comes to number of cores, memory, SSD. If you want more details on my new computer, I have an entire video where I cover each component and my reasons for getting them. You'll find the link in the description. Let's start with the synthetic benchmark. Cinebench R23 is a CPU-intense benchmark. Here is quite a significant difference. The Ryzen 9 scores 5.6 times higher than the Core i5, which makes sense since it has 6 times as many threads. Next, let's compare how HandBrake, an open source video transcoder, performs. When I convert 4K footage to 1080p with the H.264 codec, the Ryzen 9 is about 4.8 times faster. The Ryzen 9 is even faster when transcoding 4K footage to H.265. Now I'm going to focus on Davinci Resolve. I found a benchmark called PugetBench that performs a number of tests and calculates the score based on the result. These are the results I got when I tried the free version. Now the difference isn't that obvious. I'm not going to go through all the details, but here are a couple of observations. For most of the results in the 4K media section, the Ryzen 9 is 3 to 5 times faster. There are only small differences in the GPU section, which is expected. I mean, the GPU is the same in both cases. There are larger differences in the Fusion section, but nowhere near the differences we saw in the 4K media section. To summarize, it's clear that the CPU matters, but only partially. I've done a couple of tests based on my normal workflow. The first is to generate proxy media. The Ryzen 9 is 3.4 times faster, which isn't bad, but at the same time it's not as good as we saw in some of the previous benchmarks. I wouldn't be surprised if other settings would yield different results. However, I don't see any point in trying out various settings just for the sake of it. The rest of the tests I've done concern timeline delivery. First off is rendering 1080p using H.264. Here we see a notable difference. The Ryzen 9 is 4.7 times faster. In version 17.4 of Davinci Resolve, they added hardware-accelerated H.265 encoding, so let's see how that compares. I think the most interesting thing to note here is the difference between H.264 and H.265 on the Core i5. It's 3 times faster. And yes, the Ryzen 9 is still faster, but only 1.5 times. Also note there's virtually no difference between the two codecs on the Ryzen 9. Several YouTubers have noticed that the quality of a 1080p video improves if it's upscaled to 4K before it's uploaded to the YouTube. Therefore, I tested to render the same 1080p footage to 4K. It's obvious that upscaling the footage takes a longer time, roughly 3 times on both systems. The Ryzen 9 continues to be faster, about 4.2 times. It's not quite the same difference as with 1080p, but it's still a significant difference. Again, on the Core i5, the H.265 codec is faster, about 3.5 times. Of course, the Ryzen 9 is still faster, but only by 4%. And compared to H.264, it's actually 10% slower. Here's another take on the results. These are the times it would take to render a 30 frames per second video that's 10 minutes long, using the different variants. For instance, the H.264 codec on the Core i5 would take 8 minutes and 3 seconds, compared to 1 minute and 44 seconds on the Ryzen 9. Moving on to 4K footage with the H.264 codec. The result is similar to 1080p, that is, the Ryzen 9 is 4.7 times faster. Furthermore, there is an improvement when switching codec to H.265. On the Core i5, it's 4.7 times faster. In fact, H.265 on the Core i5 is as fast as H.264 on the Ryzen 9. Finally, let's look at downscaling 4K to 1080p. Once again, the Ryzen 9 is faster, unsurprisingly, about 4.8 times. And yes, H.265 is even faster, but only twice as fast. Also, unlike the other test, the Ryzen 9 is significantly faster, almost 3 times. And here are the corresponding render times for a 10-minute video. In order to avoid information overload, I only compared the two CPUs and the free version of Davinci Resolve. If you've been looking for an excuse to upgrade your computer and found one here, I suggest you don't watch my next video, because when I perform the same test with Davinci Resolve Studio, things become complicated. It turns out that the CPU makes virtually no difference at all. There are a couple of conclusions when it comes to the free version. Please note that they only apply in this specific context, so rather than definite conclusions, see them more as something to try out yourself. The H.265 codec is generally faster than the H.264. The only exception is the Ryzen 9. I guess the difference between the two codecs is due to the graphics card and the fact that only the H.265 is hardware accelerated. If you have another graphics card, you'll probably see different results. So try the H.265 codec and see if that improves the delivery times. And of course, the Ryzen 9 is faster than the Core i5, especially when using H.264 codec. But when it comes to the H.265 codec, Core i5 doesn't trail that far behind. As I said earlier, there will be another video with Davinci Resolve Studio. Also, I will compile all the numbers and put them in a spreadsheet if you want to examine them in more detail. I'll put the link in the description. But until then, thank you for watching.